Welcome to episode 263 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns, and we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. Hi, how are you? It has been almost 2 weeks since I saw you. I am actually recording a day early for my normal recording schedule. It is Sunday, February 2nd, and it is about 3:30 in the afternoon. But it has been almost 2 weeks since I have seen you because I was traveling for work, and so I'm a little out of the habit, but I have lots of fun things to show you. So I thought I would say hi. How are you? I hope that you're doing well. We are enjoying an unseasonably warm day. I'm actually going to go out and take a walk right after I speak to you because it is 60 degrees out and it is beautiful today, and it is supposed to be the same tomorrow, and then we're supposed to go back into the 20s. So the Midwest is a little like this. We have lots of little bursts of slightly warmer weather, so I will be grateful for it and go out and take a walk outside while I can enjoy it. So, I hope you have had a wonderful couple weeks. I last talked to you on a Monday. At the end of the week, on Saturday, I left for Las Vegas, Nevada, where I attended the Las Vegas Market, which is kind of a gifts and home furnishing show. And I went with a yarn company who is working on selling some finished goods, and it was a really, really interesting trip. The business half of it was interesting because it was a brand new industry, and so there was lots and lots to learn, and we learned some from our booth mates and just from being there. And then the trip itself was interesting because I was manning or womaning the booth with another designer by the name of Suzanne Nielsen, and she is located technically she's from the Midwest and Texas and New Mexico. She's from a little all over. I don't think she's from Texas. I think she's from New Mexico. But she lives in Orange County now, which is outside of Los Angeles, where I was. So she actually knows a lot of the same yarn shops that I know. And she is a knitting designer. And so we had a good time. She inspired me to do some designing. And I helped her a little bit with, I hope I helped her. I gave her some tips on some marketing for her business. And we just kind of had a great time. We're about the same age, we have a lot of the same experiences, we like a lot of the same things, and we were staying in a hotel that was actually a suite. It was 2 bedrooms and then like a little living room kitchenette in the middle. So we got to each have our own bedroom, but we also got to hang out together in the evenings and knit, and we went to a grocery store and got ice cream because we had a freezer in the room, and so we just had a wonderful time. And that part of it was really inspiring for me and kind of kicked my design brain into jumpstart. So hopefully we'll have some things to show you in the next couple months because I have lots I'm thinking about. So now I am home, I have commission projects, I have all kinds of things to kick off. It is a new month, and so there is lots to talk about. I had a question in the AMA Ask Me Anything thread on Ravelry that asked me about if I was going to be doing an along in February. I guess last year we did February as Finishuary, and I am thrilled to do it. I think last year the way we did it was I did not do it as an official along with prizes, but I wanted to finish some things up, so I invited you to join me. I do have a couple projects that I would love to finish this month, although with commissions and it being a short month, I don't know how much I will get done, but we can do a February Finishuary. So I will be closing, I haven't closed yet, even though technically it is closed, the Selfish Craft Along thread, and I will be announcing winners tomorrow. So I will do that because it ended on Friday and I just decided to wait till Monday. And then I will open a Finishuary thread. So if you would like to join us in finishing projects that are languishing and need to be finished, then that would be wonderful. You can finish your January project if you'd like. Basically, I'm not going to award prizes, so there won't be any rules. You can work on anything and finish it. And I do have I have 2 projects that I would love to finish, one of which I might get done. So we'll see. So let's start from the top of the podcast, even though I've been chatting a few minutes in. What am I drinking today? I decided to pull my Downton Abbey Christmas tea out of the bag just because I love it. It's a black tea with mulling spices, so it's very fall, winter, holiday oriented, although I drink it at any time of the year. I don't know if they still sell it. It used to be sold by Republic of Tea. I have several canisters because I love it. I liked it so much, I bought several, and I decided, part of the reason I decided to drink that tea today was because I pulled my Downton Abbey mug off the shelf. The Downton Abbey mugs were specials at Cost Plus World Market for Black Friday several years in a row when Downton Abbey was in its heyday, and I actually got mine off of eBay, but I enjoy drinking my Downton Abbey tea in my Downton Abbey mug. So, and if you are not familiar, if you didn't watch it, Downton Abbey is a period piece. It is set in the early 1900s and goes up through, at least as far as I watched, through the World War and possibly World War II as well. And it is about a British family in a British manor. And it was a BBC production, and it aired on PBS in the United States. So if you don't know, if you're interested in period drama, lovely costumes, it has a Dame Maggie Smith in it, as well as a wonderful cast, or an additional wonderful cast, and so I can recommend it if you're looking for something. There were 5 or 6 seasons. I enjoyed the first several. I don't know that I even finished the last season, but it was kind of a fun watch. So that is what I am drinking today. Let's talk about the knits. So I have a couple finished things to show you. The first is one that I was working on before I left, and I actually did finish it before I left, although it was not blocked. I blocked it while I was gone, and it is going out this week. It is a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and it is the Jody shawl, or I think it's just called Jody by Joji Locatelli. It is a 3-color shawl worked in DK weight, and I worked it as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden in their Superfine DK, which is 100% superwash merino. It is a DK weight, approximately 250 yards to the skein, and this is the shawl as finished. The colors in the shawl, the middle one, which is kind of a bluey purple with also some brown hints, that was designed after an Icelandic painting, and then the colors that go with it are Ocean Floor, which is the blue at the top, and Espresso, which is the brown at the bottom. This is a wonderful crescent shawl. It is a paid-for pattern, mostly garter stitch with some striping, and then some simple lace at the bottom just to create a nice edge. This is a sizable shawl. It is nice and squishy, even though blocked, and all told I used about 610 yards. I was close on the middle color. So the middle color, the pattern says 240 yards, and I had just a tiny bit left. I have the colors here. So this was the blue, which is Ocean Floor. Like I said, I was really close. This is the multi, and I have only about 3 grams left, so not a lot of that. And then I have a bit of the Espresso left. So overall, used quite a bit of the fiber, and I was very happy to get that one knit and done, and that will go back to Zen Yarn Garden this week. So that's 2 samples that I finished, one last month, one this month. Well, I guess technically both of them were finished in January. Just showing you this one this month. So those are going off, which is nice because it means we'll have some money coming in. The other thing I really wanted to knit while I was gone, and I did, the ends are not woven in on these, so I do need to do that. I just didn't have time while I was traveling, is I knit Miles a pair of socks for Valentine's Day. If these look familiar to you, it's because I showed you Roxy's socks the previous week. This is a skein of Knitterly Things. It's 100% superwash merino. I do not remember the colorway, but it is a 5-striper, and I knit Roxy a pair of socks for Valentine's Day out of the first part of the skein, and then I knit Miles a pair of socks out of the rest of the skein, and these were quick. I knit the first one almost entirely on the first day, between sitting in the airport and the 3-hour flight, and then I knit the second one while I was on the trip. They're just a plain vanilla with heel flap and gusset, and I added 4 stitches to the last time I made socks for him, so these will be a little bit longer or a little bit wider, but allow him some room to grow. So those are done as well. Like I said, I just need to weave in the ends, and then I am going to send those off to the kids this week in their Valentine's Day package. So everything else is a work in progress, and I'll talk a little bit about that. The next project that I took with me was also socks, and that was my Christmas socks. As you might remember, I cast on, they were my Christmas Eve cast on, so I actually didn't cast on until Christmas Eve, so they were not done in December. I had hoped they would be done in January, but I didn't really get there. I had started with a patterned sock, and for whatever reason, it just really wasn't working for me. It's not anything wrong with the pattern, I just wasn't really into knitting the sock. I think I just wanted something that was mindless, and although I love looking at patterned socks, I really love knitting plain socks because I don't have to think about them at all except for the heel. So, you know, I started the cast on, and then pretty much from there it's roundy until I get to the heel, and then once I finish the gusset, it's back. So I had knit about a half a sock. I went ahead and ripped that back to the cuff and then just knit the plain sock. So the yarn that I am using is Stranded Dye Works. It was her BFL base, which I believe is 75% BFL, 25% nylon. It was in her Christmas colorway this year, which is Gingerbread House, which is a kind of a cream color with brown and red and green and yellow. And then I also got a coordinating mini in red for cuffs and heels. I might have been able to do toes, but I was a little concerned about running short on this one, so I just did cuffs and heels. So I had about half a sock done when I left, and now I actually have a full half a sock, or a full half a pair of socks. I have a full sock done. So I had been right about at the heel flap, and so I just ripped back to the cuff and then I reknit. Again, this is a standard heel flap and gusset. This is a 60 stitch sock, which I knit on size 0s, which works for my foot. I have small feet, size 6.5. So I went ahead and finished this one. I have not cast on the second one, but this would be one for Finishuary that I would love to finish. Usually I finish my Christmas Eve cast on socks by partway through January, but between other things that I was doing and sample knits, I just didn't. And as I said, I think part of it was just that I wanted a mindless knit, and the pattern was not even difficult, but it was a 4-row repeat, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. So I am now doing my my plain vanilla socks in my plain vanilla pattern, and that is going much better. So if I do have something for Finishuary, this is definitely one of them. Hopefully I will finish the second sock by the end of the month. It is not getting priority in the next couple weeks because I have some new projects to work on, but we'll see, and hopefully maybe I'll get these done by February in time to wear for next year. So that is one of my whips. The other thing that I showed you was I told you that I was going to design a blue hat. That is because I want to knit more hats for Hat Not Hate this year. That is Lion Brand's anti-bullying campaign, and I decided that as part of that I should design some hats. And then what I'm going to do is I will release the patterns as a paid-for pattern, and then I will make a donation to an anti-bullying group. So originally I was going to say I'd make a donation to Hat Not Hate, but they are set up to accept hat donations but not money right now, and they have a number of charities that they recommend if you want to donate money to, you do. So I will select one of those, and then some of the proceeds from this hat will go to that. So I am designing in a skein of Dreaming Color Classy in the colorway Bedtime, which is this royal blue with hints of purple. It's showing up as very blue here. It shows up very much as a blurple on my Instagram where I posted it. And so I have started a hat. It is a kind of unisex hat. I'm going to make it similar in sizing to the hat that I did earlier this year, which was a free pattern through Knitter's Pride. It is called the Undaunted hat. You can pick that up through the Knitter's Pride website. My plan is to do a variety of unisex hats. Each hat will be in a couple of different 2 to 3 different sizes, so you can do sort of child, teenager, adult-ish head sizes, and I'm designing them as patterns both for you and to knit for charity, and I will be using different yarns in all of them, so I'll be featuring different yarn companies, yarns that I like, but they'll all be blue. And the only thing I haven't decided is whether I'm going to turn it into an ebook or whether they'll be available for for individual purchase only. I'm still thinking about that and mulling that over until I have at least the first one finished, or I might wait until I have the first two and then do the next two. So this is just it's a broken rib pattern, which I'm not going to discuss the specifics of because it will be in the pattern, but I have been working on that. Had to rip a little bit back where I was, and now I just need to ponder how I want to do the decreases. I have some ideas. So again, just a simple unisex hat that would be great in any worsted weight yarn to donate to the charitable cause of your liking. But mine will be for Hat Not Hate this year. So they'll all be blue. I have a couple more skeins waiting in the wings of various dyers. And so I'll be working on those throughout this year. My goal is to publish 4 hat patterns this year. And like I said, I don't know whether I will make them a collection of hats or whether I'll just release them individually or exactly what I will do. But there will be a charitable donation involved as well. So that is what I'm working on. I hope to have this finished next week so I can send it off to the tech editor and get started on the next one. Basically, I found, like I said, I had a bunch of design inspiration hanging out with Suzanne at the booth. And so I find myself brimming with ideas, and I actually even brought home some yarns to design with. So that is my, well, I guess my current second work in progress. My third work in progress is a new sample. I know, act surprised. You'll be even more surprised in whose yarn it's in. Of course, Zen Yarn Garden. They are turning out to be one of my best sample customers. So I will say that I have been knitting in their yarns and they have been paying me to sample knit. But I do love their yarns and I have been knitting in their yarns on my own as well. So I'm sorry if this ends up sounding a bit like a commercial for them, but that is what I'm knitting with at the moment. So this week I started a new shawl sample. They sent me these 2 skeins of yarn. Now this is on their superfine DK base, which is 100% it is their superfine fingering base. It is 100% superwash merino. It is Italian merino and it is really super soft and squishy. I love this base of theirs. This might be my favorite base, even though they do have merino cashmere silk bases. I just absolutely love this one. These are 2 coordinating colorways. This colorway is Arabian Nights, and it is a one-of-a-kind, meaning it is a variegated colorway. And then, but they do make this. I think the skeins just vary a little bit. That's why it's called a one-of-a-kind. And this is the Arabian Nights Splatter, which is a white base, and then the same colors are splattered on it. So the two coordinate quite nicely together, or complement each other in a larger project. And I have decided, well, in consultation with them, we have decided that it is going to become a drifter shawl. This is a 2-color shawl by Tammy Gore. I knitted it earlier in the year for myself and really liked it. When I knitted earlier in the year, I used Bijou Basin, and I used, it was their yak yarn, and I used a purple and then a multicolor that had greens and oranges and purples, and I made it into a shawl that I gave to my mother. That is in my project page, but I am knitting it again, and it is it can be a 2 or 3 color shawl. I am knitting the 2-color version. It calls for approximately 750 to 800 yards of fingering weight yarn, which I have 2 balls of. And it is one of those shawls that starts out as a triangle, and then this shawl has lots of different texture and coordination between the colors as well. So it ends up kind of being fun. I am working on the first section in the Arabian Nights one-of-a-kind sort of variegated colorway, and as you can see, that is knitting up beautifully. The color has kind of grays and blacks and reds and some rich chocolate browns in it, and it is just really, really beautiful. I just don't know how to show you how gorgeous this colorway is. And I'm excited to finish the first section and start to wind in the second, because I do think it's going to be really, really nice together. It may not be quite as contrasty as it would be if I were using 2 completely separate colors of yarn, but I really think that this will be a nice one. And then Zen Yarn Garden will go ahead and sell kits based on it. So if it looks like something you might like, keep an eye on them. My guess is this will take me a few weeks to do, and then I will send it back out to them. So that is what I'm working on, and this actually will be a priority this week because I would love to finish this one before the end of the month. I don't know if I'll literally get it done in 2 weeks because I have a couple other things that I am working on. So that concludes the knitting portion. I do have another commission, however, it is not allowed to show it. So I will be working on that one in the background, and hopefully in a few months when it releases, I can show it to you. But I'm not allowed to talk about it, so we'll just have to imagine. I will say it's a blanket piece, so I'm going to be working on that for a little while, but that one is due mid next month. So the shawl and the blanket are my two primary pieces this month, as well as the next project, which I will talk about. So I almost entirely have knitting for you. I know that I talked about as part of my selfish craft along that I was going to do more spinning, and ultimately I did not get to that because I got more work spinning. So I have been spinning more white yarn. This is kind of a creamy color of fiber that I have gotten from the City Girl farm, where I am spinning to knit chicken feathers. And at this point I have spun close to a pound and probably about 800 yards of bulky weight singles. These are them, and I have a little bit more of white to do, and then I also have the same size bump of gray. So this time I'm going to be knitting white and gray feathers, and we're doing a full-size chicken this time, so I need at least 1,000 yards of both, and possibly even more than that, and then I will receive my knitting instructions. So those are the 3 projects that I'm heavily working on this month. I know that last year I talked about balance and working in my own personal projects, and apparently as of February that has gone by the wayside. Honestly, these projects came up and I've been excited about them, so I'm going to work on them. I know I have more Zen Yarn Garden samples coming in. I did not bring my crochet blanket this week because since I was gone, I did not take it with me. I have gotten in 3 or 4 rows since I got home on Thursday afternoon, so I am continuing to work on that, and I would love to complete the second section in the next couple days because it has 7 sections, and my goal is to finish that blanket by the end of March because I have 2 more that I would like to do this year, and yeah, so I am keeping myself on quite the schedule. The other item that I would love to pick up this month, and this will only work if I can finish some of my sample knitting ahead of time, which I'm not sure it will, but while we're thinking about Finishuary, I really still want to pull out my boxy, and if I don't finish it in February, I think that's the personal project I'm going to pull out in March. The only other thing I haven't showed you is I have some yarn that I need to do a design in, and I don't know whether I'll be able to share that with you yet or not, but it is bulky yarn, so the design should go quickly, and I don't know when the design itself will release, but once it does, I'll be able to show you that. So that is what's been on and off my needles for the last couple weeks. I am home, I am full of inspiration and ready to roll. Unfortunately, I have a busy week of work and appointments ahead of me, so I've been making lists and spending an hour or 2 on each project and moving through and trying to keep everything in a stage of moving. It's a lot to keep track of. I came home and had to make tons of lists and sort of make some little schedules for myself. But I am happiest when I am productive, and it's nice bringing in a little extra money because tax season is coming, and I haven't done our taxes yet, so I don't know whether we owe anything, but I will be pleased if we do not and prepared if we do, is really what it comes down to. So I think that's all I have for you today. I will be probably editing this and uploading this tonight, so you will get this a day early. I hope you have a lovely week crafting. I don't foresee any other interruptions to our broadcasting schedule in the next several weeks. So I hope you have a lovely week, and when I see you next weekend, or until I see you next, I will say happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.